All right, so that saying, many are called, but few are chosen. It's everywhere, but what's it really about? Today we're going to use Allan Kardec's The Gospel, according to the Spirit, to figure that out.
Yeah, it's one of those phrases with a bunch of interpretations, but the interesting thing is how it connects to the idea that spiritual growth, you don't just stumble into it. Like, it's a choice you got to make, building your life on something bigger than yourself,
Right, so it's about action, not just words. Kardec actually starts by breaking down this parable, the parable of the wedding feast. It's from the Gospel of Matthew, and it's about this king who throws this huge party for his son's wedding. He sends out all these invites, but then people start doing some really unexpected stuff.
Oh, yeah, like some just flat out refuse. They got excuses up the wazoo, work errands, you name it. Some even go so far as to, well, let's just say they don't treat the king's messengers very well.
Hold on. They hurt the messengers.
Oh.
For refusing a party invite. Yeah, there's something deeper going on here.
Totally. Think of it like this. The feast. It's the kingdom of heaven. Those people who are all, nope, not coming. They're like the folks who had a chance to connect with God but just turned it down. Too busy with everyday stuff to see what really matters.
So the messengers who get the bad treatment,
Yeah.
those are like the prophets, right? Delivering the message, but facing a ton of resistance.
Exactly. It's like a pattern that keeps repeating itself even today. People speaking truth to power, they often get pushed back hard. But okay, back to the parable. The king's obviously not thrilled, so he's like, fine, everyone's invited, good or bad, come on in. This is kind of like when spiritual truth became open to everyone you know, no matter who you are or where you come from.
Okay, that makes sense. But then there's this twist. One guy shows up, but he isn't dressed right. Did he not get the dress code memo?
Well, think of the missing clothes as like a lack of real interchange. He represents those folks who might look all religious on the outside, but inside, they haven't really embraced the transformation that spiritual growth demands.
Wow, that's a powerful image. So just showing up isn't enough. You got to embody the change. This reminds me of that whole narrow door thing in the Gospels. Why is that door so narrow anyway?
That narrow door, it's all about effort. It symbolizes the path to real spiritual growth. And trust me, it's not the easy route. It takes discipline facing your own flaws, being willing to work on yourself. It's the opposite of taking the easy way out, the wide road that might feel comfy, but it leads to a spiritual dead end, what some call perdition.
Perdition sounds pretty intense.
It's about being separated from God, the ultimate consequence of choosing a path that doesn't lead to growth. But that narrow door, as tough as it is, it leads to something way bigger.
So yeah, picking the right path takes real commitment.
Right.
This makes me think about what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. It's not enough to just talk the talk right.
Exactly. Just saying, Lord, Lord, doesn't get you a free pass. What's crazy is that even people doing what look like good deeds, healing, prophesying, even they don't automatically get in.
Seriously. Good deeds aren't enough.
It all comes down to the why. Jesus is like, get out of here, you evildoers. He's looking at your heart. Are you doing good because it's truly in you, or is there another reason? Actions can be deceiving if they're not coming from the right place.
That's a great point. It's about your motivation, right? Walk, not just going through the motions. This feels like a theme that keeps coming up.
For sure. And it connects to another parable, the wise and foolish builders. Remember the one with the house on the rock versus the house on the sand? One stays strong through anything, the other, well, not so much.
Oh, yeah. That one's super visual.
Yeah.
True faith needs a strong foundation.
Exactly. And the foundation, that's action. Just hearing the teachings isn't enough. You got to build your life on them. Put them into practice. Otherwise, you're that house on sand.
Right.
It's about making the teachings part of who you are.
So knowing the right stuff isn't enough. You got to do it. And that leads to another idea we see in Luke chapter 12. The more you're given, the more is expected of you.
You got it. The more you understand, the bigger your responsibility to use that knowledge wisely. Think of it like this. Someone who's been giving very little, if they mess up, it's understandable. But someone with tons of knowledge and resources, if they mess up, well, the stakes are higher. They had more to work with.
Right. That makes sense. We even see that with groups like the Pharisees. They knew the scriptures inside and out, but didn't always live up to them.
Exactly. And it's not just ancient history. This applies to us now, especially today. We have more information at our fingertips than ever before. The question is, what are we doing with it? Are we using it to grow and help others, or just letting it sit there?
That's a great question. It makes you think about how you're using what you've been given. And this is where I think the Spirit's teachings really come in. They offer this broader perspective that anyone can access. You don't have to be part of a specific religion or anything.
And they really drive home that idea of responsibility being tied to knowledge. There's this powerful line in Matthew and Mark. To him who already has, more will be given.
It's not about money, though, right?
Nope. It's about spiritual growth. Those who use what they have, their knowledge, their talents, the opportunities they get, they receive even more. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But those who ignore their potential, who don't cultivate their spiritual gifts, they just stagnate.
Wow. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
The more you put in, the more you get out. It all circles back to those few who are chosen. It's not about being picked from a crowd. It's about making the choice to actively work towards growth, aligning your life with what you believe.
Exactly. It's about choosing growth, transformation, and service. And anyone can take that journey, no matter their background or beliefs.
This has already given me a lot to think about. Speaking of things to ponder, spirits also have a really interesting take on what it means to be a true Christian. So we've been talking about how real spiritual growth needs more than just words, right? Like you got to actually do something. And the spirit, they have some fascinating ideas about what being a true Christian really means. It's not about labels or anything. It's way deeper than that.
Right on. The spirits are big on reminding us that true Christianity isn't about what you say, but what you actually do. It's all about the impact you have on the world around you. Creating positive change. Living a life full of love, compassion, and service.
So it's not just about going to church or saying you believe. It's about how you treat others, how you make the world a better place. The spirits use this really cool metaphor of a tree to explain it.
Totally. They talk about true Christians being like a tree that grows good fruit. But get this, sometimes the gardeners, the people responsible for taking care of the tree, they don't always do such a great job.
It's like they let weeds grow all around it, or they try to force it to grow in some weird way that's not natural at all. So people who come looking for nourishment from that tree, hoping to find guidance and inspiration, they might end up disappointed.
That's a really powerful image. The spirits are calling out the hypocrisy of those who say they're Christian, but their actions don't match up. They're saying true Christianity isn't about empty rituals or just making statements. It's about actually living out Jesus' teachings in your everyday life.
It's a challenge for all of us, no matter what we believe. Are we living in a way that reflects our values? Are we helping others, or just focused on our own needs? It really makes you stop and think about the kind of impact you're having on the world.
Absolutely. The spirits want us to be more than just passive believers. They want us to actively create a world that's more just and loving, to use our gifts and our resources to make a real difference.
And they talk about this thing we do where we hoard the fruits of that tree of life, like keeping all the good stuff for ourselves instead of sharing it. It's like we forget that true Christianity is all about abundance and generosity.
It's about realizing that there's enough for everyone, and that we have a responsibility to make sure everyone has what they need to thrive, both physically and spiritually.
I love that. So if we connect this back to many are called but few are chosen, it sounds like the spirits are saying the chosen ones are those who actually live the teachings. They're the ones cultivating that tree of life inside themselves and then sharing its fruits with the world.
Exactly. It's not about being in some special club or anything. It's about making a conscious choice to live a life full of service, love, and generosity.
It really highlights how important it is to put your beliefs into action. It's not enough to just know what's right. You got to actually do it. It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's about making progress every day, learning from your mistakes, and always trying to be better.
And that journey is open to everyone, no matter where you come from or what you believe. It's a universal message. We all have the potential to grow that tree of life inside us and help create a better world.
You said it. And that brings us to another really important part of the Spirit's teachings, personal responsibility. They're big on emphasizing that we have the power to choose our own path, to decide how we want to live and what kind of mark we want to leave on the world.
They're not giving us easy answers or quick fixes either. They're challenging us to take charge of our own spiritual growth, to be proactive in seeking knowledge and then actually using that knowledge to do good.
And they remind us that we're not alone on this path. We have the support of the spiritual realm guiding us, offering wisdom and encouragement. But at the end of the day, the choice is ours. We have the power to choose growth, transformation, and service.
I love how empowering that is. It puts the power right in our hands. We can choose to be among those few who are chosen, not because someone picked us out, but because of the choices we make each and every day.
Exactly. That dedication to living a life with purpose and meaning, that's what sets the few apart.
This has been so eye-opening. We started with that simple phrase, many are called, but few are chosen. And now we've explored faith, action, and responsibility in such a profound way. The Spirit's perspective on all this is really unique. It's been freely inspiring.
I'm glad you feel that way. The path of spiritual growth is a lifelong adventure. There's always more to learn and discover. But these teachings give us a guide, a compass, to help us through life's ups and downs and find our way back to the source of love and wisdom that's inside each of us.
So we've been exploring this whole idea of many are called, but few are chosen, right? We've dug into what it means and how it connects to growing spiritually. But now I'm kind of wondering, how do we actually live this stuff out? Like, it's easy to talk big ideas, but what about day-to-day life?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the cool thing is the spirits don't just leave us hanging with these inspiring concepts. They give us actual practical advice on how to make it real.
Okay, so where do we even start?
Yeah.
How do we cultivate that whole tree of life thing inside ourselves?
Well, the first step is taking a good hard look in the mirror. The spirits call it self-examination. It's about checking your thoughts, your words, even your actions, and asking yourself some tough questions. Like, are you walking the walk? Doing things that line up with what you say you believe? Are your actions showing your true values?
Whoa. It's like a mirror, but not just to check your hair. It's looking deep inside at what's driving you. That could be kind of scary.
It can be tough, no doubt. We all have blind spots, right? Areas where we don't want to change, or maybe we're clinging to old habits. But the spirits are all about being kind to ourselves in the process. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about being honest and brave enough to see where you can grow.
So self-awareness, that's the foundation. But what about the actual building blocks? Like, what specific things can we do to help that tree of life inside us really thrive?
Think of it like you're tending a garden. You got to nurture the soil, plant the seeds, and give them what they need to flourish. In this case, those seeds are things like love, compassion, patience, humility, generosity. Those qualities that feed the soul? It's about choosing again and again to act from those places instead of from fear or ego.
Sounds simple enough, but honestly, it feels like an uphill battle sometimes. We're bombarded with messages telling us to compare ourselves to others, chase after money and stuff. How do we tune out all that noise and stay focused on what really matters spiritually?
That's where spiritual practice comes in. Things like prayer, meditation, studying the teachings, connecting with nature. Those create a space for you to get back in touch with your true self, the part of you that's connected to something bigger.
It's like making a safe haven for your soul, a place to recharge and remember what's truly important.
Exactly. And it's not all about solo practice either. Connecting with others who share your values is huge. Supporting each other on this path makes a world of difference.
It's like that picture of the tree of life, offering shade to anyone who needs it. We're not meant to go it alone.
Right. And the fruits of that tree, those qualities we were just talking about, they're meant to be shared. It's all about asking yourself, how can I use my gifts to do some good in the world? How can I help others?
So taking those inner qualities and putting them into action right, showing them through kindness, service, generosity, really living your faith instead of just talking about it.
You got it. True faith, it's a verb, not a noun. It's what you do, not just what you believe. And even the smallest actions can create a ripple effect, starting positive change that spreads outwards.
So bringing it back to many are called, but few are chosen. It's not about being in some exclusive club. It's about deciding to answer the call, to grow, to evolve, to make your spiritual beliefs a living, breathing reality.
Exactly. We always have a choice. We can be part of the many who hear the message but don't do anything about it. Or we can be part of the few who choose to step up with courage and commitment and a willingness to put love into action.
This has been such an incredible journey. We started with this simple phrase, and now we've explored faith, action, and responsibility in such a powerful way. The Spirit's perspective on this whole thing is just so unique and inspiring.
It's been a real pleasure. The path of spiritual growth, it's a lifelong adventure. There's always something new to learn and discover. These teachings, though, they give us a map, a compass to help us navigate through life's twists and turns and find our way back to the source of love and wisdom that's within each and every one of us.
Beautifully said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a question to take with you. What's one thing you can do today, right now, to start living more in line with your beliefs? What can you do, no matter how small, to nurture that tree of life inside yourself and share its fruits with the world? Keep searching, keep growing, and keep shining your light.